In this video, I'd like to show you a new technique we've developed at All the Word to build our lexicons and grammars more quickly. We're using these documents, and for this video I'm going to use English as the target language. And in these documents, everything that's highlighted in yellow is provided by a linguist who's familiar with the language. Everything that's highlighted in light blue is provided by a mother tongue translator. In this first document, we're setting up our lexicon and some of the basic grammar rules. We begin by setting up our nouns. And English nouns have 4 features with these feature values. You can add as many rows as you need for these tables for your target language. For English noun forms, we have the stem plus the plural form. And here we have a simple rule describing how to build the plural form. There are some spelling rules. If you need more complex rules, rules that provide infixes or circumfixes, or rules that perform morphophonemics, you'll need to do those rules, build those rules in the software. And then here we have the nouns that occur in what we call the grammar introduction. The grammar introduction is about 300 very simple sentences, and we intentionally keep the vocabulary very limited. So here are the nouns that occur in those sentences. We ask our mother tongue translators to provide the target language word, and then we provide these sample sentences, and we ask our mother tongue translators to translate them, just so we have a simple sample sentence in the lexicon. And if we look down here, we do the same thing for verbs. We have our simple rules and some spelling rules. If we go down here, we'll see we do the same thing for adjectives, same thing for adverbs, and I'll show you here we're building some of the rules. For example, this is for proximity, and we provide these sentences, and we ask our mother tongue translator to translate them, and the linguist will put brackets around the noun phrase, parentheses around the noun, and provide the form of the noun. Now this is for English. For your target language, you can have as many rows as you'd like. You can set up these features however you need, and the software will scan through these annotated target sentences and build these rules from the tables. Here we're setting up our pronoun tables. And again, you define as many rows and as columns as your target language needs, and then the mother tongue translator will provide the pronouns. In English, we have personal pronouns, possessive pronouns, reflexive pronouns, reciprocal, relative, and big pro. We have some more of these rules. I'd like to show you one of these, a theta grid adjustment rule. Let's go down to the verb to cut. John cut that fruit from this tree with his knife. So we ask our mother tongue translator to translate that into the target language. Then over here, the linguist annotates that translation. And here we're saying what's the agent noun phrase in the semantic representation becomes the subject in the target translation. The patient becomes the object. The source noun phrase becomes oblique number 1 with this preposition from, and the instrument noun phrase becomes oblique number 2 with this preposition with. So these are how we build our theta grid adjustment rules. And I'd like to go down a bit further. Here we're building our relative clause strategies. In our semantic representations, we allow relativization on these 4 roles. So we provide these sentences, we ask our mother tongue translators to translate them, and then the linguist indicates whether the gap strategy is used, the relative pronoun, the relativizer, etc. This is for English. We use the gap strategy for restrictive relative clauses with the relativizer that, and for descriptive relative clauses we use a relative pronoun. A mother tongue translator can complete this document in approximately 10 hours, and then the linguist will need another hour or 2 to scan through these translations and annotate the sentences. Let's go to our second document. This document is for building verb phrases. So again, we provide these sample sentences, and we include examples from the Bible. Then we ask our mother tongue translators to translate these sentences, and the linguist will put brackets around the verb phrase, parentheses around the verb, and provide the form of the verb. And the software will scan through these tables and build all of these rules. I'll show you that in a minute. In our third document, This is the document. It has the vocabulary for a short story about David and Goliath. So again, we have all of the nouns that occur, all of the verbs, etc. So now I'd like to show you how we import those documents. Before I import them, when we look at this first, we see that all of the concepts are unlinked. There are no target equivalents down here. And the grammar is empty, the lexicon is empty. If we go over here, there are no nouns, there are no verbs, etc. So let's go import those three documents. The first one for the grammar introduction. So those tables have been imported. Let's import the second document that builds the verb phrases. Let's import the third document that has the vocabulary for the David and Goliath story. So those tables have been imported. Now let's go look at this verse. Now we see that all the concepts are linked to target language words, and I'll show you some of those rules that we've built. Here's the rule that builds all the verb phrases. So these rows were imported from that document. Here's with all of the target language text, etc. Let's go look at the rule for the verb to cut. So the agent is mapped to the subject, the patient is mapped to the object, the source noun phrase is mapped to _1 with the preposition from, the destination noun phrase, that wasn't in our document, the instrument noun phrase is mapped to _2 with the preposition with, and here's our sample sentence. We can see if we look at the relativization structures, here we use the gap strategy for the restrictive relative clauses, and the relativizer that, the relative pronoun here, etc. Now, okay, we can't put everything in the document, so I need to import or copy a couple of rules from another grammar. We can't do agreement rules, so I'm going to copy that from another language into our project, and we're going to do the verb to be is very irregular in English. Okay, so we've copied those two rules. Now we can click the generate button. A man named Saul was the king of Israel. King Saul had leaded Israel's army to a valley that was in Judah. King Saul and his army were preparing to fight Philistia's army. Okay, this verb is irregular, so we double click on it, it highlights it in red. We can edit here. For the past tense of lead, we say led, and we'll put a comment in there. A man named Saul was the king of Israel. King Saul had led Israel's army to a valley that was in Judah. King Saul and his army were preparing to fight Philistia's army. It used to take us several months to develop our lexicon and grammar to this degree, but now, using these documents, we can reach this point in just a few weeks. As I mentioned, it takes the mother tongue translator approximately 10 hours to do the first document, and then a linguist an hour or two. For the second document, translating these sentences for the mother tongue translator again takes roughly about 10 hours, and then another hour or two for the linguist. We have approximately 24 of these documents. The content gradually decreases as the lexicon is more developed and the grammar becomes more developed. each document contains fewer concepts and fewer tables. So these documents significantly reduce the amount of time and work that's required to build our lexicons and grammars.